Welcome back to NBA Stories. Today we dive into one of the defining rivalries of modern basketball, LeBron James versus Stephen Curry. Two superstars, two completely different styles. Two men who reshaped the NBA in opposite directions. LeBron James, the ultimate all-around force. Stephen Curry, the revolutionary shooter who bent the geometry of the game. In this video, we're not just listing stats. We're talking about how they changed the way basketball is played, coached, and understood. We're looking at how their games clash, how they complement each other, and what their battles, especially in the NBA Finals, really mean. So sit back, hit that like button if you love NBA history, and let's step into the story of LeBron James versus Stephen Curry. LeBron James entered the league as the chosen one. He was expected to be the next face of the NBA, a 68 freight train with point guard vision and power forward strength. From the very beginning, his impact was physical, direct, and overwhelming. Stephen Curry entered the league with the opposite perception. Too small, too skinny, too injury-prone. Many people believed he'd be a good shooter, but not necessarily a franchise-changing superstar. He was never supposed to dominate the league with size or athleticism. Instead, he was about skill, touch, and feel. LeBron reshaped the NBA by redefining what a franchise player could do. He was not just a scorer. He was a floor general from the wing, a player who could lead the league in scoring one year and in assists another year. He proved that your best player could also be your primary playmaker, your defensive anchor, and your locker room leader all at once. Curry reshaped the NBA in a different way. He expanded the court. He made the three-point line the main weapon, not just a bonus shot. He showed that gravity is not only for big men in the paint, but also for shooters who pull defenders out to 30 feet. He turned the game into spacing, movement, and chaos. LeBron's impact is about versatility. He can play 1 through 5. He can guard 1 through 5. Coaches build entire systems around what he can do with the ball. He drives to the rim, he collapses the defense, and he makes the right read over and over again. Curry's impact is about distortion. He doesn't just shoot threes. He warps defenses before he even touches the ball. Defenders pick him up at half court. Big men on the opposing team are dragged away from the paint. Help rotations become longer. Mistakes become more costly. If LeBron is the architect, Curry is the earthquake. One designs the structure, the other shakes the foundation. When we compare their skills, the first big contrast is playmaking versus shooting. LeBron is one of the greatest playmakers the game has ever seen. He reads the floor like a chess master. He knows where the help is coming from before the help moves. He throws cross-court passes to the weak side shooter. He finds cutters with perfect timing. He can run the pick and roll as the ball handler. He can be the screener. He can post up and pass out of double teams. Curry's playmaking works differently. Has not just a shooter who happens to pass, has a point guard who weaponizes his shooting to create passing lanes. Because defenses are terrified of his three-point shot, he can slip pocket passes, hit cutters, and find the open man when two defenders chase him off screens. He may not have LeBron's physical presence, but his decision-making in tight spaces, especially in motion, is elite. Still, when we talk about pure playmaking, LeBron has the edge. His combination of size, vision, and passing creativity simply reaches more areas of the floor. He can see over traps. He can hit skip passes from impossible angles. He turns every pick and roll into a test of the defenses, IQ and discipline. On the other side, Curry is the greatest shooter in NBA history. His release is quick. His range extends several feet beyond the traditional three-point line. He can shoot off the dribble, off the catch, off screens, and even off balance. He doesn't need his feet to be perfectly set. He doesn't need much space. A tiny window is enough. LeBron's shooting developed more slowly. Early in his career, teams dared him to shoot. They went under screens. They clogged the paint. Over time, he improved his jumper, especially the step-back three and mid-range fadeaway. But shooting was never his signature skill. It was a tool to complement his drives, not the core of his game. For Curry, the shot is everything, and yet more than just a shot. It's his identity. It's his pressure point. Every time he crosses half court, the defense has to decide, do we trap him? Do we switch everything? Do we pick him up from 30 feet and leave the paint vulnerable? That constant question shapes every possession. It's not just that he makes threes. It's that the threat of his three moves, defenders like puppets Now let's talk about their impact in the NBA Finals. LeBron James and Stephen Curry met 4 straight years in the finals, from 2015 to 2018. This stretch defined an era. LeBron with the Cavaliers, Curry with the Warriors. It was power versus finesse, force versus finesse. One superstar carrying a massive load, another superstar leading a perfectly synchronized system. In 2015, Curry's Warriors rose to the top as LeBron's Cavaliers were hit by injuries. Kyrie Irving went down. Kevin Love was already out. LeBron put up historic numbers, but the Warriors' depth and system were too much. In 2016, we saw perhaps the most iconic chapter of this rivalry. The Warriors won 73 games in the regular season. Curry was the unanimous MVP. They went up 3-1 into the finals. The narrative seemed written, Golden State was about to cement the greatest season in history. But LeBron refused to accept that ending. He elevated his game to an insane level. Back-to-back 41-point games. The chase down block in Game 7. The Cavs came back from 3-1 down, something no team had ever done in the finals. Cleveland won the title. The city ended its 52-year championship drought. That moment mattered. It was not just a win, it was a statement. LeBron showed that even against a historically great team, even against the greatest shooter ever, his all-around dominance could still tilt the series. But the story didn't end there. In 2017 and 2018, the Warriors added Kevin Durant. Suddenly, the equation shifted. LeBron was still brilliant, Curry was still unstoppable from deep, but now Golden State had a second all-time scorer and a two-way superstar. The finals became overwhelming for Cleveland. Even in those years, the LeBron versus Curry dynamic remained the emotional core of the matchup. LeBron's drives to the rim, Curry's deep threes, two completely different ways to apply pressure, colliding on the biggest stage. When we talk about their head-to-head record in the finals, Curry's Warriors have more series wins. But context matters. The supporting casts were different. The systems were different. Curry often had more continuity, more spacing, and later, more superstar support. LeBron often had to carry rosters with less depth, less shooting, and more defensive holes. So the question becomes deeper than just who won more. It becomes, what did they prove? LeBron proved that a single player, at the peak of his powers, can bend a series with his all-around greatness. He can inspire belief in teammates who have no business being that close to a title. He can control pace, mood, and mentality. Curry proved that a superstar doesn't have to dominate the ball to dominate the game. He showed that you can change everything through movement, spacing, and efficiency. He showed that a player under 64 without freakish athleticism can still change the entire landscape of the sport. In terms of leadership, LeBron is vocal, strategic, and hands-on. He calls out sets, he directs traffic, he pulls teammates aside in huddles. He takes responsibility for the result, good or bad. Curry leads with joy, confidence, and trust in the system. He sets the tone with his work ethic, his unselfishness, and his willingness to move without the ball. He doesn't always have to speak loudly. His example speaks for him. On defense, LeBron at his peak was a terror. He could switch onto guards, bang with bigs, and erase mistakes with chase down blocks. He read passing lanes. He orchestrated team defense like a free safety in football. Curry will never be known primarily as a defender, but he's underrated. He competes. He plays the passing lanes. He moves his feet. And, because of the Warriors' defensive schemes, he holds his own enough for his offensive value to shine. What makes this rivalry so special is that they represent two different dreams. LeBron represents the dream of absolute dominance. The idea that if you are big enough, strong enough, smart enough, and skilled enough, you can do everything. You can control your destiny with force and will. Curry represents the dream of pure skill. The idea that if you master your craft deeply enough, you can overcome physical limitations. You can break the game without breaking bodies. You can win not by overpowering, but by outsmarting and outshooting. For young fans, these two are templates. Some kids want to be LeBron, driving to the basket, throwing laser passes, and chasing down blocks. Other kids want to be Curry, pulling up from deep, dancing with the dribble, and hitting shots that feel impossible. Together, they pulled the NBA in two directions at once. Toward positionless, all-around play on one side, toward three-point-centric, spacing-heavy offense on the other side. Teams now look for big wings who can handle and pass because LeBron showed how valuable that is. At the same time, teams prioritize shooting at every position because Curry showed that spacing is a weapon by itself. It's not an exaggeration to say that almost every modern contender is built with some blend of LeBron's philosophy and Curry's philosophy. Size, strength, and versatility, plus spacing, shooting, and off-ball movement. If we step back emotionally, there is a deeper layer to this rivalry. There is respect. These are competitors who battled on the biggest stage multiple times. They ended each other's dreams. They also validated each other's greatness. Without Curry's Warriors, LeBron's 2016 comeback doesn't mean as much. Without LeBron's Cavs pushing the Warriors to 7 games, Curry's later championships don't feel as earned. They are linked. Their legacies are intertwined. You cannot tell the story of one without the other. And that brings us to a powerful truth. This rivalry is not about hate. It's about evolution. It's about how two different types of greatness can coexist and collide. It's about how the NBA can be both a game of power and a game of precision. It's about how one era can belong to two superstars at the same time, even as they seem to be pulling the league in opposite directions. Close your eyes for a moment and think of the images that come to mind. LeBron soaring for a chase-down block in a do-or-die game. Curry turning around before the ball even goes through the net on a deep three. LeBron screaming with emotion after a clutch and one. Curry pumping his chest, pointing to the sky, the crowd roaring as another three splashes. These are not just highlights. They are emotional anchors. Moments that define why fans fall in love with the sport. Moments that kids will mimic on playgrounds around the world. In the end, choosing between LeBron James and Stephen Curry isn't just about numbers. It's about what kind of basketball you believe in. Do you believe in overwhelming force and all-around control? Or do you believe in the beauty of the jumper, the chaos of movement, and the power of the three? The truth is, the NBA is richer because we never had to choose. We got to see both. We got to watch LeBron command the floor like a king. We got to watch Curry light up arenas like a spark that never dies. And as long as fans remember this era, the conversation will live on. Barbershops, podcasts, group chats, YouTube comments. LeBron versus Curry will always be there. That is the magic of this rivalry. It's bigger than one game, bigger than one series. It's a story about how basketball itself evolved. Thank you for watching NBA Stories. If you enjoyed this deep dive into LeBron James versus Stephen Curry, please remember to like the video, share it with your fellow NBA fans. Drop a comment about whose game you prefer and why. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories, debates, and breakdowns from across NBA history. See you in the next episode. Until then, keep loving the game.